connected to our friends in this, and you don't need to look that far to see. In an instant, it's all rushing by.
Hello, everyone. This is Pendy.
And this is Paul, also known as EastX Twitch.
Hey, Paul, check out this fancy shadow raiment I just bought.
Say now, that's quite the getup. I can't even see your face.
Well, of course, I have to hide my secret identity. The world isn't ready for the power I am holding back.
I don't know. I think the world can handle your middle-aged neckbeard power.
Wow, that hurt. You know what? I'm going to drown my sorrows in Dragon Quest slime-themed pancakes.
It's called tough love, dude. Anyway, while Pendy gets all chubby from his pancake obsession, I'll welcome everyone to Alltrades DQ Media Abbey, a Slime Time podcast spinoff where we review various Dragon Quest media, including manga and anime.
Num num num. We are currently reviewing the 2020 Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai anime and the Dragon Quest X tie-in manga Rooming with a Gamer Gal. We'll start with Dai first, so let's strash it up.
This week, we watched episode 87, The Deciding Attack. In this episode, we continue the Him versus Mistvern and Dai versus Dark King Vern fights. In Him's battle, Him lets loose a series of blows, heavily damaging Mistvern. Mistvern tries to counter with a concentrated Dark Aura attack and breaks poor Him's arm. However, Him took the blow on purpose to get in close for a devastating Aura Knuckle blow that defeats Mistvern and sends him crashing against some stairs, no longer able to fight. At first, Kyunkel wants him to take off Mistvern's mask in order to reveal his secret identity. Crocodine warns that this could be a mistake. Lon Baruch had previously warned him that doing so could be a fatal mistake that unleashes an even bigger power. The party heeds the warning and decides to have him finish off Mistvern instead. Him goes in for a killing blow, but Mistvern seems to activate a new power. Uh-oh. Meanwhile, in the fight against Dark King Vern, Dai hesitates because he's surprised at how easily he's winning the fight. He regains his resolve, but King Vern squares up for an attack in which he not only lets loose a Kaiser Phoenix attack, but charges as well for a follow-up attack with his staff. Dai takes on the full brunt of the Kaiser Phoenix attack and enters the Flaming Phoenix itself. Within the Phoenix, Dai counters King Vern's charge and damages him. Our hero then lets loose a double Dragon Crest Doru Aura attack. King Vern blocks off the Doru Aura with his staff, thinking that Dai's magic will then be depleted. What he didn't account for was Leona. Just as Dai's attack begins to fade, Leona revives Dai's magic with a silver feather, allowing Dai to fire another Dorora. This slams back King Vern, but the episode ends before we can see the results.
This was fun seeing both battles come to uncertain conclusions. With Him's battle, I love the moment between him and Chu, where Him seems to accept his place as a Beast King commando, and therefore a true part of the larger team of heroes. Also, it's hilarious when Him declares only one person can break his body, and Chu thinks he is actually referencing him. Who, me? No. When it comes to Dai's battle, I thought it was interesting that Dai hesitated because he thought he was winning too easily. I understood why, because he was taken aback by King Vern's "Hey, Vern" confidence despite him losing, but it kind of reminded me of playing an RPG where you accidentally overlevel for an upcoming area and get surprised how easy everything becomes. On a side note, that's what I love about Dragon Quest games. You know, the mainline games show you when you are overpowered, especially in a game like Dragon Quest XI, when the enemies will run away from you if you are overleveled. Getting back to Dai, it will be fun to see the results of both of these battles in the next episode.
Right on. Him and Chu's interactions that you mentioned are my favorite part of this episode. Former villain Him has become such a nice guy that he gives up on arguing with Chu and just goes along with it. But I wonder who it is that can break Him's body though. Kyunkel, Larhart, or Dai? It's great to see Mistvern get whooped on, by the way. Whether or not the beating will stick, they should make 5 more episodes that just have the heroes beating him up. He sucks. With the Dai versus Vern battle, Dai's hesitation gets on my nerves. I can understand that he fears that Vern is tricking him somehow, but Dai shouldn't need so much encouragement from Leona to finish the battle. She already had to pep talk him at the start of the fight in a previous episode. Darn it. Still, we get Dai outthinking Vern twice in this episode, and that counts for something. I'm glad Leona was able to pitch in with the silver feather too. It's good for her to have something to do besides talk Dai out of being so neurotic. It sure looks like Dark King Vern has been defeated.
Yeah, I think Dai has a little bit of PTSD from getting beaten so badly in the past. He needs that encouragement. He's like, I can't be doing this well. You are Dai. Just go with it. You're fine.
Yeah, what a poor little scrub.
Next is episode 88, The Shadow Rainman. We start with the aftermath of Dai's battle with Dark King Vern, a huge hole blown in the palace where Dai's Dorohara seemingly finished off Vern. Leona and Dai reflect on the battle, and then Leona casts a full heal spell on Dai. The spell doesn't heal him to 100% because attacks that use Dark Aura can't be fully healed with spells. Meanwhile, Mist Vern blocks Heem's killing blow with his necklace, which shatters and reveals his hidden form. Heem attacks again, but Mist Vern effortlessly grabs his arm, twists it off, and throws it back at him, knocking him back into a wall. He then uses his energy to push everyone else into the wall as well. Larhart takes Heem's arm and tries to bash Mist Vern with it. The arm connects but shatters, giving Mist Vern no damage. The villain grabs Larhart by the head and sends him flying with a punch. After seeing that they are all outmatched, the party decides their only chance is Pop's Madroa spell. Heem, Larhart, and even Crocodine all try to slow down or hold Mist Vern to give Pop a chance to use his Madroa, but nothing works. Brokina, or Mr. Beast, as he prefers to be called now, convinces everyone that he can take on Mist Vern to give Pop a chance with his spell. Based on Mam's ineffective Refractor Fist attack to Mist Vern in a previous episode, Mr. Beast recognizes that Mist Vern is using the secret spell of Frozen Time. It surprises Mist Vern that Mr. Beast knows of this spell, and he realizes he is not dealing with an ordinary foe. Despite Mist Vern's inquiry, we end with Brokina insisting that he still be referred to as Mr. Beast.
Well, if Dark King Vern is really dead, that's anticlimactic. We see his ruined throne room, but no body, so I'm assuming there'll be more to come, however. In the meantime, Mist Vern has gotten scary, and that's too bad. He's never been especially cool or charismatic, and now he gets to be an even bigger threat than King Vern. Boo! It is fun and shocking to see the heroes get knocked around so badly, so the stakes are certainly rising. I love that Heem offers to sacrifice himself in order to help save everyone else. What a guy. Brokina stepping up as Mr. Beast is a delightful way to end the episode. Mr. Beast is actually Beast-kun in Japanese, which can be translated as Little Beast as well. He's mostly a comic relief character, but the next episode will remind everyone why Brokina is so well respected when he's not in disguise.
Yeah, this is basically a calm before the storm episode. We get a little break with Dai and Leona. I thought their interactions with each other were cute. With the Mist Vern fight, I love how after Brokina is blasted into a wall, we see little snippets of him in the background, just kind of hanging out and sitting in the crater in the wall that was made from him smashing into it. He's just not phased at all, and it's fun foreshadowing of what's to come. At about 21 minutes and 31 seconds into the episode, there is a frame of everyone standing together where Brokina would be behind him. I love how everyone is drawn here, and it would make for a great wall scroll or poster or something like that. I look forward to Mr. Beast going all out versus this version of Mist Vern.
And then we have episode 89, The Secret Spell of Frozen Time. We begin with Mr. Beast approaching Mist Vern for his attack. He charges up and sets off a series of martial arts moves, connecting hits while Mist Vern is unable to land any. Pop begins to prepare a Madroa spell, but realizes he's too nervous to do it correctly. Come on, Pop. Mist Vern then appears to land a direct hit on Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beast absorbs it with his martial arts skills. Not bad. With this blow, he's able to confirm that Mist Vern is using the Frozen Time spell. Then Mr. Beast reveals that he fought with Avon and his party against Hadlar. In a flashback, we see Avon, Matariv, and Brokina confronting Hadlar while Mom's parents stay behind. Avon hits Hadlar with the spell, the Frozen Time spell, but he inadvertently freezes himself in time along with Hadlar. Brokina shares that Matariv developed the Madroa spell to be powerful enough to break the Frozen Time spell, so it will be effective against Mist Vern, right? Brokina's tale of confronting Hadlar and the origin of Madroa then inspires Pop to successfully prepare the spell, and he lines up for a shot. Brokina lets off a move that would normally send Mist Vern off balance, but because of Brokina's advanced age, his stamina runs out, and it causes the move to be ineffective, messing things up. Mist Vern grabs Mr. Beast as a shield and taunts Pop, confident that the young sage would never risk killing Brokina by firing the spell. Pop surprises everyone and does just that, though, but as soon as he unleashes Madroa, he casts Zoom, grabs Brokina, and jumps away. Good plan. Sadly, Mist Vern is somehow unfazed. He bats the Madroa spell aside, seemingly blasting away Pop and Mr. Beast.
I really loved seeing Mr. Beast go all out in this episode. It was fun to see him go toe-to-toe with Mist Vern. I also enjoyed the flashback to the days of Avon Yvonne and his party fighting Hadlar. They show that Yvonne's sword techniques weren't perfected yet, so he was banking on the spell to end the war instead. This frozen secret, what's it called? Secret, oh my god.
Super secret frozen type? No.
The secret frozen spell. Time spell. Secret frozen spell of time.
The secret spell of frozen time.
Thank you. Secret spell of frozen time. That spell. He was banking on that since he's not quite advanced enough at that point in time. He needed more time to level grind. We get a nice glimpse of the party dynamic and everyone's personality. It was interesting to see that this secret spell of frozen time gave the world a bit of a respite from Hadlar's invasion. The show doesn't explain it to us, but I'm guessing when Matareve uses the Madroa to free Yvonne, he must have accidentally freed Hadlar too. How that comes about will be interesting to see in the prequel manga, which will cover those events.
Indeed it will. I also love that Mr. Beast and Brokina get a chance to shine here. He's silly, but unlike Chu, he's got the skills to pay the bills. And anything that frustrates Miss Fern is good too. Flashbacks to Yvonne's youth are always nice. Lyra and Loka, Mom's parents, are fun to see together. And our boy Yvonne even detects that Lyra is pregnant without being told. It's nice that Brokina turned out to be a member of Yvonne's party too, and I enjoy his scene with cranky old Matareve. They're both famous old geezers, Matareve says. When Yvonne's party confronts Hadlar, we see computer-generated hordes of monsters, including golems, bewerewolves, fun ghouls, great saber cats, jackanapes, cyclops, chimeras, firebirds, and blood-jerrigars.
Oh my.
Yeah, most of those are common monsters, but the blood-jerrigar is one you don't see very often. It's a small land-bound bird enemy that first appeared in Dragon Quest V. Another nice part of the flashback is that when Yvonne is casting the time-stopping spell at his own peril, he thinks of his friends, and especially of Queen Flora, the woman he quietly loves. I hope Yvonne gets out of that trap dimension and returns to her eventually. Anyway, the episode ends on the huge downer that Pop's Madroa spell didn't harm Miss Fern. In fact, it was practically a critical failure since Miss Fern seems to have caused the spell to backfire and destroy both Pop and Brokina. Nowhere they've both gone for good, but it's still a painful place to leave things hanging.
Next, we'll continue with Rooming with a Gamer Gal. First, we have Server 13. Let's do the community event together. In this chapter, Satsuki explains to Miyako what a community event is about. Unofficial events where people gather to mingle, oftentimes in specific groups, like ogres or elves. He wants to find poppets outside of Heaven Slime to play dress-up with and thinks a poppet event would be a great place to find them. He's too embarrassed to ask any of the other poppet users in their guild because he's afraid they will be weirded out by the idea. With the support of Miyako, Satsuki decides to join an event for poppets. He did not realize that Miyako would want to observe the event watching him play in real life, and his room is a disaster. After some quick organizing, Satsuki lets her in, but is noticeably uncomfortable because he has never had a girl in his room before. Not only that, he feels even more pressure because of his previous encounter with Miyako, where she implied she might have feelings for Satsuki. Annoyed by how tense and uncomfortable Satsuki is, she leaves. He is devastated, but before Miyako goes to bed, recovers with an apology.
The chapter starts with a lesson about community events, and then the event is used to create humor and tension between Satsuki and Miyako. Community events are community-organized in-game events, as opposed to official events created by developers. I've never participated in such an event in an MMO that I know of, but it seems like a fun idea for the people who are especially into dress-up and role-playing.
Well, you kind of have. It's not quite the same thing, but when we did Dragon Quest Tech, we did those pull parties where we got together and we got to see everybody do different pulls on the new characters that would come out.
Well, that's a good point. I don't consider Tact an MMO, but it's very MMO-like in many ways, so I see what you're saying.
Yeah, similar-ish.
Definitely. Miyako entering Satsuki's room is a nice milestone for their friendship, even if Satsuki is amusingly caught off guard by it. She's much more logical about the situation than he is. At the end of the chapter, Satsuki tells Miyako that he doesn't hate having her in his room. That's a good moment. Then, off camera, she asks him what took so long. Does that mean that she goes back into his room? I couldn't quite tell.
Learning about unofficial community events was fun. It totally makes sense. It was interesting to see Twitter was a large part of developing the Dragon Quest X community. I'm not surprised since I see so many Japanese Dragon Quest fan accounts all the time when I'm looking around with our Slime Time account. It's a great place to see Japanese fans spreading their fan art and cosplaying. You see some really good art and really good cosplaying from the Japanese fans on Twitter. Sasaki almost completely blew it with Miyako in his room situation. I get why he might have tensed up too much, but how do you leave hentai out and about when a girl is living in your house? He needs to get it together. Jeez. On a side note, Miyako's catsuit pajamas were absolutely adorable. Catsuit equipment is a fan favorite among Dragon Quest 3 and 11 fans as it changes your appearance. Nothing beats getting the suit for Veronica and seeing the cutscene where she angrily points at someone in it.
That is very cute and funny.
Mm.
And yeah, about the hentai thing, it's like he literally had never anticipated that she someday might have occasion to enter his room.
Or even poke her head in or something. Like, come on,
Yeah.
dude.
For real, he's quite stunted in some ways.
Yeah.
Next, we have Server 14, the pancakes you've dreamed of. Miyako notices that Satsuki has bought some pancake mix. This spurs on a conversation about the Dragon Quest slime pancakes that are sold at a nearby shop. Satsuki has never gone before because he never had anyone to go with, and he's too self-conscious to do it by himself. Miyako convinces him they should go together, and they make the trip to the shop. Once there, Miyako asks if they're visiting Luida's bar, another Dragon Quest themed place, but Satsuki explains that they are in Artnia, a concept cafe designed after Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. After exploring the merchandise area, they decide to share an order of the slime pancakes. As they travel back home, Satsuki asks if Miyako would ever join him for slime pancakes again. Miyako hesitates, and Satsuki freaks out, but she only hesitates because she decides that next time they should check out Luida's bar instead.
So when I lived in South Korea for a few years, I would often visit Japan and places such as this. Artnia is in Tokyo, specifically East Shinjuku, as they mentioned in the manga. It's drawn very accurately in this chapter, right down to the slime coasters. That was nice to see that. Experiencing this place is a must for any Dragon Quest fan lucky enough to visit Tokyo. I really related to how excited Satsuki got when the slime pancakes came out. I had a kind of a similar reaction. The Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy themed cafe items are great, including the famous slime pancakes. Those famous pancakes were even incorporated into a specific area in Dragon Quest Monsters, the Dark Prince. Merchandise and display areas are fantastic and are definitely worth a look. There's also a great display room in the back that you don't see drawn in this chapter. Sasaki and Miyako wisely visit the place on a weekday. It can get pretty crowded on the weekends. They also mention Luida's bar in the Roppongi section of Tokyo, which would be accurate at the time this manga was published. Since then, they have moved into a larger location in Akihabara and have expanded to a second location at Dragon Quest Island near Osaka. The Dragon Quest Island theme park and Luida's bar are also fantastic places to visit for any Dragon Quest fan. I would love to see this manga explore the protagonists visiting places like Luida's bar and Dragon Quest Island together in the future. It was genuinely fun to see them enjoying their time together at Artnia.
Well, as you said, we get to learn about fun Dragon Quest themed attractions in this chapter. Considering that the majority of fans outside of Japan won't get to visit places like Artnia, it's certainly an interesting place to show off. We have more character development here too, such as Satsuki's internal conflicts about whether or not they're on a date. He manages not to mess anything up, so they both have a nice time together. And for the record, it's a friend's outing, not a date. Still, this kind of experience will surely build Satsuki up a little bit and make him more of a person that someone might actually consider dating in the future.
Definitely. And you know, speaking of going places, I recently went to Otakon in DC.
You sure get around. What kind of event is Otakon?
So Otakon, it's basically an anime convention, but also celebrates Japanese and Korean culture. It's one of the bigger ones in the country, so it can bring in some big names from the anime industry. Japanese voice actors, directors, producers, and even composers.
Sounds like fun. Did you meet anyone that was related to Dragon Quest?
Yes, I was very lucky that Yuki Hayashi was there. He is known for composing for some famous shows like Haikyuu, My Hero Academia, and Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai, the series that we are currently reviewing.
Ooh, did you get to meet him at all? Did he perform?
He didn't perform any of his music, but he was there for a fan panel and he did sign autographs. I attended his panel and I was able to get my Dai soundtrack Volume 1 CD signed by him. He was very gracious and warm, and it was very nice to meet him.
How nice. What was the panel like?
It was mostly a Q&A session that he did with another Japanese producer. I was hoping to ask him a question specifically about Dai, but sadly they didn't pick me from all the audience members that were asking questions. There was no line set up. You just had to raise your hand and hope you got picked.
I'd pick you, dude.
Aw.
Well, despite your unanswered question, did you end up learning anything from the panel that might be related to Dai?
Well, in a general sense, yes. How he comes up with the soundtrack is very interesting. He's not a classically trained composer or musician. He was a men's rhythm rhythmic gymnastics athlete growing up. He ended up being fascinated by the scores people would choose for that event and was inspired to compose music himself. He taught himself how to compose when he was in college. He composes and comes up with all the melodies he wants to use, and then he uses trained musicians to experiment and come up with the actual soundtrack.
Wow, that's a very interesting thing to learn about his technique. And with that, we wrap up this episode of Alltrades DQ Media Abbey. If you want to prepare for our next episode, be sure to watch episodes 90 through 92 of Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai and read chapters 15 and 16 of Rooming with the Gamer Gal. You can watch the Dai episodes subtitled on Crunchyroll or dubbed on Hulu. And Rooming with the Gamer Gal is available through the Manga Up app.
We're a non-profit podcast. We won't Doru Aura your hard-earned gold when we can offer you quality content for free. But if you do have some extra gold that's just completely burning a hole in your wallet, pouch, bottomless bag, or treasure chest, and you would like to donate anything to a website that's been supporting Dragon Quest fans for over 25 years, stop by the Dragon's Den by clicking the link in the show notes. There are several ways to support the Den, including the affiliate links that don't cost you anything extra when making other Dragon Quest purchases.
We even have a Slime Time t-shirt that was designed by our resident artist, Dwayne. See the link for it in the show notes.
As part of the Slime Time Extended Universe, or STU, you can direct comments or questions for the podcast on X and Instagram at DQ Slime Time.
And you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/EastXTwitch. Come watch me play a variety of games every Saturday, kids.
Join in tons of Dragon Quest discussion at the Dragon's Den forums and Discord, and the Dragon Questers and Slime Time Facebook groups.
We'd like to thank everyone that made this podcast possible, including Pendy, Woodus, the Dragon's Den, and Mai Shiranui, the sexy ninja who's coming back in the upcoming game, Fatal Fury City of Wolves. All these years since she's been created, she still revs my engine, baby.
Please like, subscribe, and write a review for the podcast.
We'll catch you later, everybody. Don't hate, appreciate.
Time to zoom on out of here.
When you go off alone, sometimes all a friend can do is wait and watch for you to come back home. Hey, tell me where you're going when you go off alone. Oh, this was a story based on honesty and courage from the start. We're together, I thought we could make it work. On the horizon, something shining, and everyone can see it, and I'm feeling confident. It must be what we've been looking.
This is slime time! General Flazzard here! Beware my five-finger flares!